Okay, so all these rules are working. Let's try, this is a bio. Okay, so that didn't save at all. So if we reach a point where the validation is correct, the user should update, and that should work, and then redirect. So let me see if I go to the browse section here. Let's see if the bio was saved, and it wasn't. Now the reason is that if I go to the user edit, bio is not part of this rule here. So I'm going to put bio over there as part of the list, then come back and say this is a bio. Let's try and save that. It did not save again. Okay, so what's going on here? Let me try in here as well. Let me add it just for the sake of it. Let's see. I'm just going to type bio and save. So it didn't save again. Let me browse in the database to make sure, and it didn't really save. So I need to know what's going on here. The first thing I need to know is whether we get to this point. So let me remove the redirect part so that if there are any errors, we will see them. So I'm going to type bio again and click save. Okay, it refreshed the page, which it shouldn't do. Okay, so which means things are not actually working as intended. Alright, let's check out what's happening. Maybe it's not going through here at all. So I'm gonna put die over here like so. That way, if it passes through there, we get an empty page, which we have, which means it is going through here. But what about the validate? Is it working through the validate? Let's insert. It seems to be. So it's going in there, and then it's removing the password, and then it's doing an update. So data row ID. Let me see here. I'm gonna say echo that and then die. I want to see what ID we're trying to edit here. So refresh and resend. So it's ID number 1, which is very correct. So everything seems correct here. But let's see what's inside the post data. So I'm gonna say print R data, and then the ID, and then die. That way we see all the data in its glory. So syntax error, unexpected variable data, where right there. So we need a semicolon, so between those two statements, refresh, resend. So everything seems fine, except there isn't any bio here. So I guess the problem is with the form. So I'm gonna go to the form here. Where is the form? Form. The bio itself doesn't have a name. So text area, name is comments, but we need it to be bio. So that was the problem there. So if I now refresh and resend, I can type this is a bio and save. Now it's saving, which is great. Now if I go back to the overview, I should see this is a bio over here. I don't know why this text is moved to this side. This doesn't look fine. Let's see, where do we have bio? We have bio here. Class 86. I think this is wrong. It should be... What class should it be at all? 86, column span 2. Seems okay. Let's just put text aligned center then. Maybe... Oh, I've put this inside another table data. So let me remove that. So my bad. Let's put that back and there it is. Okay, this is a bio. Okay, so if I click, that's edit, click, click. Now I want us to be able to save the image as well. All right, so to save that image, we need to move the file as well. And where is this? Let's go to profile.php. So right about here, we should be able to validate the file as well. So we validate the file here. So we say validate image. Now in here, we'll get the file from request files like that. Okay. So that's when we're gonna do files is equal to. That's where we get any files that we update here. They're not in the post variable, they're in the files variable. So I'm gonna do for each files as file. Now really we're just interested in the first file because we're just expecting one file. So files as a file, but that's fine. For every file, we just move uploaded file, and then we grab the source, which is inside the file, and it's called temp underscore name, TMP name. That's where it's stored when you upload it. And then the destination is where you want to put it. Now, at this point, we should create a folder. We're gonna call it uploads with a slash there. And if the folder does not exist, if not, file exists, which is what we use as well to check if folders exist. Then we'll do mk directory and put in the folder name like that. Then we need to give ourselves permission to write to it and then put true there. Now, instead of having to do this, because sometimes there's file write permissions, you may just go to the public folder and create the uploads folder there, just to be safe. But this code here will create it in case it does not exist, but this may not always work. So if it doesn't, just create the folder manually there. So once we do that, we have a folder, and you can put inside this folder file put contents, put an index.php file, for example. So there's a file name there required. This file name will be inside our folder, and then we're gonna call the file index.php. The data we're gonna put there is just an empty string. That way, when somebody tries to navigate to the folder, they won't see anything there. The index.php page will load, which is an empty page, so it will just show an empty page. Or if you're feeling cocky, you can say access denied as the data in there. That way somebody navigating there will just see access denied. Okay, so now that we have the folder, we can create a file name there, right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna say destination is equal to folder, and then the folder will combine with the file name itself. So I'm gonna copy that, and then this one will be this temp name. There's also a name, just like that's the file name that comes with it. And then we'll put time here, which is a unique it's a timestamp. How many seconds since 1970? So this changes every second. It adds a 1 to this integer here. So it's a long digit, something like 14 digits. So every second it's unique. So if you re-upload the same file in the same second, then it's going to replace it because the time will be the same and the file name will be the same. But if you upload it a second later, then this part will be different, so it won't override the old file. So So it's just an extra step there. So destination, right? That's great. And what else? Then we move the file. Now, if you want, you can resize the file right here. I think it's the best time to resize the file. And we have the function to do that. It's called resize. And it resizes to a maximum width or height, just the maximum resolution. Whichever side is bigger will be a maximum of 700 pixels. Of course, you can change this. So what we're going to do is just say image is equal to new core, image, like that. So we have to make sure that the image is in the, it's actually in the model namespace. So it's not inside core, it's inside model. And then once we are done here, if you check on that function, it doesn't return, it just says file name and it replaces the same file name. So we're just going to say image resize, right? Resize, and then put our moved file inside destination like that. Now here you can specify the maximum resolution that you want to accommodate. So let's put 800. You can put 1000 pixels. That's up to you. Now, before we can do any of this, we have to make sure this is a valid image. So here we're going to say allowed is equal to, now we already typed this, right? So I don't want to type it again. I'm just going to grab this part because it's exactly the same. Copy that. Come here. Those are exactly the same file types we want to allow. So it must fit the bill. So we're going to say if not, let's say if in array, for example, the needle is what we're looking for. So what are we looking inside the array? We're looking for the file type. So I'm going to grab this, put it here. This is going to be type, like so. Okay. And the haystack is where we are searching in here. So there we go. If it's in there, then we do the rest of this. All right, let's move that. What have I done? What have I done? There we go. I just moved to a different page. Okay, so an image was added there, right? But we should know if an image was added or not, right? So what I'm going to do is here, I'm going to put a variable called image added is equal to false. And then I'll move this and change it to true once we get here, which means an image was added. This becomes true. Okay, so if an image was added, so all this will happen. Actually, we shouldn't even move this file here. If there's something wrong, let's say the file does not fit our type, we can just put an else statement here and then add an error, right? Since we have this, where is this? We have this user class. We can just add to its errors. So we're going to say error user errors image is equal to image type not supported. Now, since we already have a thing inside model.php where we check for stuff, you can add one that checks for images as well, but it's just that it doesn't exist in there. That's why I'm doing it from here like this. Okay, so that does it. What else do we need here? Move. So I don't want to move the file just yet. What I want to do is just check, because if I keep moving these files, let's say the user keeps making errors, then we're going to have a full drive that has useless images. So we should only move the file if image was added and everything else was validated. So here we're going to say move image file if exists. So here we're going to say if image added, then let's move that file. So if the image was added, then we move it. Now the thing is, it's going to be difficult here to move the file because okay, no, that's fine because we only expect one file. So file will just be one item. So we grab that last one and then move it. So this is going to work still. And then since we have an image that was added, what we need to do now is add image to post data. So I'm going to put here, after we move it, then we're going to say post data image, because this should finally now go to the image column in the database. So we add that way when we supply it here, it will be saved. Okay, hopefully all that coding paid off. So let's try something. I'm going to put that there and I'm going to hit save. Now it didn't seem to work at all. So let's see why. First of all, let's check if the uploads folder was created, and there it was, and the image was indeed uploaded. But it wasn't just saved. So what we're gonna do, let me delete this file. If we go to the columns here, we will see that it didn't update here, and that's obviously because inside the user edit, image is not one of the rows, the columns we selected here. Maybe I can do that here as well for future use. So in the model, we must specify that image can be edited as well. So let's try this again. I'm confident it's going to work now. And there it is. You see, now we have an image as a user. Very cool there. Okay. Very nice. Let's try and change that image. Now, if we change the image, for example, we should delete the old one because maintenance is very important. So if an image was added here, what it means is that we should delete the old one. So as we set this one here, we're going to say delete old image, right? So the old image is inside the row before we update the row, because we haven't updated the row yet. So which means, where are we here? Inside data row is the old image. So, but we always must check if it exists, because it's possible the column was empty. So if file exists, row image, right? Then unlink there image like so. Okay, so let's check it out. If I now go to my uploads folder, you will see there's one file in there, the index.php and this image. But let's change it and see if it will still exist. So account settings, click on it. Let's put maybe this one. And let's hit save. And there we go, we have a new image. But let's see here. In the uploads folder, we only have that one. So it's working as intended. Alrighty then, hopefully that wasn't too complex, because the only other thing we need to upload is the podcast. So here, I want to log out. Now, another thing is, if you don't want anyone to sign up except you, so after you sign up, you can close your sign up page by simply redirecting all users. So redirect to the login page when they try to access the sign up page. And here you can just say message signups are not allowed at the moment, something like this. So if I do this now, and try to sign up, let me log out, and then try to sign up like this, it will say signups are not allowed at the moment. So we can mute this for now while you still need to sign up. That's if you don't want others to sign up. So let's do a sign up now. Username is Mary. Oh, Mary Licious. Then here, first name is Mary, Kiri, mary@email.com, password, and let's register. So we have some errors, do we? No. No errors, but things are not working. So yeah, we're having a problem. Interesting. Let me go to the database and see. Yeah, nothing new here. So which means there's something going on. Okay. Maybe it's the same as part here. Let's go to user. This is the one. Let's look at the validation rules. What's going on here? Okay, now if you want to find out, let's go to the sign up view here. I want to find out if there are any errors anywhere. So I can't see them here. So I'll just put some PHP tags here, temporal. And then I'm just going to say show user errors, because that's where all the errors will be. So let's try this again. Okay, so there it is, rules. The rule, same as, was not found. Oh, okay, so this is wrong. This is wrong. Okay, this shouldn't be inside rules. That's a start. So I made a mistake here. So it's this rule right here. So same as. So in the process, there's a rule here. Error rules. The rule was not found. Oh, I see. I see. So this was a mistake. This one shouldn't do anything. So just remove that. Things have changed, so that doesn't work anymore. Okay, so let me try and resend. It works this time. So profile created successfully, log in to continue. Let's get back to our sign up page and let me remove this part I just added. Okay, so profile created successfully, please log in to continue. I am Mary with a password. So let's log in. There we go. Now let me go to my profile. And it says that user was not found. So why is that? So the probable cause could be the slug didn't work as intended. So let's find out. And as you can see, there is no slug. Now the reason could be, now let me delete Mary here, so that we can start over. The reason could be that in the user thingy here, we are not including slug. So it's very easy to forget these things. In the edit model, we don't need to put slug because we don't want the slug editable once it's set. It should only be set once. So let me go back and log out and try to sign up again. Let's try Mary Licious, just so it's different from the username itself. Let me try if I try that same email I used previously, just to be sure that it will refuse a similar email. Okay, so email should be unique. So you can write something like that email is already in use instead of email should be unique. Let's register and it's done. Let's go to Mary and password and log in. All right, great. Let's go to the profile now. And there it is. Look at that. Very good. Now let's edit our profile. Click there. Let's add a new photo for Mary. And save. And then add a bio here. This is my bio. And let's save. Great. If we go to overview now, we see that in its glory. Okay, now with this done, since we have at least 2 podcasters, we can then deal with the podcasters page here, which is this one right here. So if I go now to the podcasters view page, let me first go to the home view and grab that. Then I can go to podcasters view. Right at the end here, let me select everything and move things over. Let me put my header over there. That's what's missing. And put the footer over here. Make sure I change it to footer, like so. If I now refresh, this is what I see. So that's great. These are podcasters, but let's see how we can actually read from the database to include them in there. So first of all, podcasters here, this div contains all of them. So I'm going to put an if statement here, so PHP, and say if not empty rows. So we're going to have a variable called rows that will contain all the podcasters currently. This is pagination down here, so I'm going to ignore it for now. PHP will say end if. Now we can put an else statement here instead as well, say else, and then put an error if we don't find anything. So just like we put in the profile view, we did put an error indeed. Let's find it and copy it. So where is that? It's right over here. Let's copy. Let's go to podcasters. Here we can say no records were found. So let's grab that. Say no records were found. Okay, so let's refresh, and you see podcasters, no records were found. We leave the pagination because we may want to navigate to another page after not finding anything. Also, I want to just change a few things. I'll put style and say margin top. I'll say 2M and do a margin bottom as well, 2M. Let's see here, bottom 2M. Let's refresh. That's much better. But if we do find something, we should show it. So let's see, rows is expected. Let's go to the podcasters controller and deal with that. So podcasters are here. Now podcasters are just users really. So we're just going to say user is equal to new /model/user. Then from here I'm going to say user. We want to get where all the podcasters, where row is equal to user, right? And let's see here, rows is equal to, and we want to put this inside data. That way we take it to the view side, and let's put data over here. And just like that, we should have a couple of podcasters, but this is not real data. So let's deal with that. Where else? We need pagination as well. So we're going to put pagination in the end, but for now this is fine. This will just grab all the results. So let's go to podcasters view. Now if we are here, I'm going to duplicate this, change that to a for each rows as row. So if it's there, we loop. We need to close that loop. So right here on the else statement, I'll duplicate that just to say end for each. All right. Now in here, I want just one, there's this div that contains all of them. And then there's these 3 divs. So I just need one. I'll delete this one, just making sure I delete the opening and closing div together. And actually this container div should be outside, not a part of the for each loop. So I'll put it down there. Let me move things a little bit like so, and move this above like so. Let me move it over here, move that there. Yep, then move this a little back. Okay, so there's one container there. This is the bio over here, right? So I'm gonna do this, say row bio. Now I want to escape this, of course. This is username, and that does it. Actually, let's put 0 podcasts here for now. That should do it. If I now refresh, there we go. Let's put the images as well. So grab that. Alrighty then. There we go. So we now have our podcasters, and all we need to do, oh wait, did this one put a slug? Okay, it did. So now all we need to do is put a link to each one of these. So I'm going to change this to an A tag, put an href as well. I'm going to put root and say this one goes to profile / we need to put a slug. So I'm going to do slug like that. So the slug is like part of the user's name in the URL. So I'm going to put an A tag there to close it. And there we go. So back again, refresh. Now I can click on this and see their profile, click on that and see their profile. Very good. I need a style here. I'm going to say style and change text decoration to none. Okay, much better. Okay, so now we have podcasters. If I go and edit the settings of this one, can I edit the settings of the other one as well? Great. So now the problem is I can edit any settings, even those that are not mine. So to fix this problem, we're going to go to the profile.php controller. And right here where we're in the site settings, we should remove the part where we grab, wait a minute, if not empty slug, so we grab the slug, is logged in, session logged in. Okay, so yeah, it actually does work. Even here, when I go to account settings, I go to my own settings, even though I was on a different profile. So I can never edit somebody else's settings. But to be safe, we can just, because we know we can't do that anyway. So just to be safe, we're going to hide this account settings here. Overview is fine for everybody to see, including podcasts. But account settings, no. So what we're going to do is go to profile view. We just need to know if we own this. So how can we know that? We can know that by comparing IDs. Where are we? So this part, account settings, should only show PHP if the role is the current user. The ID is equal to the ID in the current session. So I'm going to do user ID like that. All right. So if the logged in user's ID and the user of this profile align, then we show that. Now things don't seem to be working. Undefined variable session. Okay, so that's great. We need to put session somewhere. So we're going to do this and instantiate it. So we're going to say session is equal to new core session. Okay, let's refresh and everything is good. So I do own this one, but let's see if I go to podcasters and click on this one. I don't get to see the account settings there at all. And then if I click on podcasts there, I end up going to my own. So if I go back and again I click on overview, it changes to my profile. So we should stop that. So we can stop that by making sure that instead of just /profile, we put a slug at the end from the row, and then we do slug there. This will ensure that we are dealing with the same user. So podcasts, wait, yes, paste slug at the end. So let's try this out. We're on this user, click, great, click. Podcasts changed. Wait. Okay. So podcasts, why did it give that particular? Okay. Podcasts. This one works, but what about this one? Why is this one going to Mary instead? Because I'm logged in as this user, so it just means it didn't find the slug. So that's strange. Let's go here to podcasts. That's because slug is not captured here at the top. So let's capture it there. That way we don't go through here because it won't be empty. So let me go back and click, and there we go. Okay, so things are working out now. That's great. All right. Let me make sure that this also leads to, I'm gonna go to the header here, header view. I want the title, this part and this part, to lead. Let me put a link of root on both of them. That way when I click, the text, it actually takes me to the home page. So right there, podcast. Yeah. Podcasters. There we go. Now what remains is to be able to upload actual podcasts. Okay. So we need a podcast upload page here. Let's go to the home page. Yeah. Very good. Now on the home page here, popular podcasters, we can list the podcasters here. So let me go to the home page and change that. So this is the same as the podcasters view page here. So I'm going to grab this part up to there. Let me go to the home view page. Let me just find it. Popular, case insensitive. popular podcasters right there. So view all. So this one right here looks like one podcaster. So I'm just gonna concentrate on this one. I'll remove this div I brought with me and move this guy in. Then I can put end if, duplicate that, end for each. Okay. Now here, instead of rows, this is gonna be, I'm gonna put row here, podcasters instead, and here podcasters again. As row is fine, so that here I can do row username, but don't forget to escape that. Always escape data for security reasons. Okay, we also need an image there if there is one. So we're gonna do get image, close that, and in here, of course, it will be row image. So back here, if I now refresh, we have those. Oh, we have nothing actually, because now I need to delete these others that are here. Delete, and this one as well. Delete, and this one as well. Delete. So where I have done podcasters in here, I'm gonna grab this and take it to the home controller. Where is that? Home controller, and put it here. All right, these are podcasters, but instead of rows, I'm gonna call them podcasters because that's what we are looking for in the home page. So it doesn't show anything, so it means nothing is going on. Oh, that's because we didn't supply the data variable there. So we've supplied it, it should be there now, and there we go. All right, so that's great. At least we have that working. The same thing, we should make it work for podcasts themselves. All right. We are almost there. Okay, so now I want us to add a way to upload podcasts. So when we click the, oh, we should have a podcast upload button somewhere here. So let's add that there. So I'm gonna go to the footer. And right here where we have, let's see, I'm looking for the else statement where we have logout, and that way I can add upload here. Now you can add these links anywhere, it doesn't matter. New podcast, something like this. We're just gonna call it upload as a link there. So now since we want that upload thing there, we have to create provision for it. So let me just close all open files for now, just to clean things up. So I went to the home controller, create a new controller, paste, and then put upload here. Same thing there, upload. Okay, here we don't want to read any podcasters. Let me remove this. Let me mute that for now and save it as upload.php. Okay, so now we have our upload page. Now we need a view for it. Now we don't really have a view here. that would match an upload thingy. So what I'll do is I'll create one here. Now in the thing that you download, you're going to find the thing I'm going to create here. So just check in the zip folder. Now in case you don't have a zip folder, you can simply create an HTML page. So it doesn't matter. This page is not special in any way. These are the usual stuff. So I'm looking for e-commerce here. And there's this part here where you add a product. So there's a cart, product, but let's look at this one. We're going to modify it a little bit. I want to select that. So what this really is just a form with an image and a file input and a few other inputs here that we may need. So I just want to modify it to suit our needs. So I'll start with the icon there. I want to change that to something that looks more audio. So let's see here. Audio, this one. Let's see, I think that makes better. That makes it look better. Add podcast. Add new podcast. This should be an image of maybe headphones or something. It doesn't matter. We're going to edit that anyway. And then here, title. I'm going to put title here. And then here, maybe I can put a little description if I want. We don't need a price. What do we need? Just the title. Then we're going to need the actual file somewhere there. So what I'll do is we don't need quantity. We don't need price. What we do need, let's see here. What we do need is an audio element here. So let's go to inputs and add one. So file input. Actually, let's go to players, audio tag. That's the one I wanted. I want to change the width to 100%. Let's move this guy up, up, up. Where else? Maybe not so up. Let me leave it here. I wanted something here to tell me a title of some kind. So what I'll do is select that, add, let's add just a div with text. And then let's move it up. And then this one, I just say audio file, like so. Okay, so a title, a little description, and an audio file here. So the audio file will need a browse button there. So I will select this. What do I do? Let me just add it. Let's go to, where is this? Inputs, file input. So just like this one. Why is it here though? Okay. So audio file, we select there and we can play it from here. So that's that. I think that does it. New podcast. Let's see if there's a height restriction. There is none. Save and cancel. Okay, great. So now I can just hit the download button to download this template. And there it is. It's done. So I'm going to copy that to my podcast folder. Okay, in your case, it may be written something else if it's you got it from the zip folder. So let me extract to that folder here, and let me see how it looks. Okay, so there it is. That's what I want. Now the thing is, here on the page we're going to add it to. Let me come here for a second. Let me add I missed something there. Should be like so. Let me add a view file here. So right click on views. In fact, I'll get the 404 there, copy, and then create a new one. Save. I'll save this one as upload.view.php. Okay. Now in here is where we will put the code that we got from the upload thingy. So I'm going to go to the, in my case it's untitled, and this is the HTML that is there. Now I don't want to put this part because it's already there in my header. I just want the actual section, so I'm going to grab this section itself, copy, go to here and paste like so. Okay, there we go. Let's see now. Let me click on the upload file. Let me refresh the page and click on new podcast. And there it is. So this is the, wow, this looks weird. Variable data not known on line 20. So let's figure that out. Line 20, data is not known. Okay, no problem. I'm gonna just do data like that is equal to, I just want to initialize data as an array. I could have just put it as an empty array, I guess. Instead of that, I can do this. Okay, better. Okay, now the CSS issue. What we'll do is, let me go to the folder. So there's the assets. Let me rename that to assets upload, just so it's different from the other files in here. So back to public, the other folders here. So there it is, assets upload. And let's go to the HTML, no, here. So we have classes in here. We need to include the CSS file from there as well. So I'm gonna do style like so, and then put source. Is it source or href? You know, I hardly do this, so I've forgotten how to include a CSS file. So I'm just going to copy from the header, and we're going to put it right here. There we go. Okay, so assets upload is where we are coming from. And there we go. We can remove that part. Okay. I think that does it. Let's try. Okay, some things have become even weirder. Now the reason is because these classes are being replaced within these two different CSS files. So what I need to do is, since the CSS files are the same, I need to add an alias or a prefix to these ones. So I'm going to select every written class underscore here. Okay, so all the classes in here I want to change and put upload at the beginning and then underscore. That way it's upload class 8, upload class 9, and so on. This is as good as we've removed all the classes. But why are things still acting weird? Assets upload. Let me put a random number there so it can reload. Okay. It's still weird that it hasn't changed anything. Anyway, no matter. Now what I'll do is I'm gonna go to the assets folder, assets upload, and then CSS and CSS styles in here. Then in here I will now change a similar way all the classes. I'll just put upload underscore class. Okay, so that worked as intended. Great, now the image is missing. That's fine. Let me close that. Because we don't actually have that image, so what we're gonna do is put the getImage function and just put an empty, send emptiness there so it can put a default no image available. That's good. I think things are working as intended. Right, so what I want is when I click here, just like usual, for the, instead of me having to click on browse, I want to click there. So we can just copy what we have from the, where is that, the profile page. So there's a part where we have this script here. So I'm gonna copy that. Where on change we say display image, that's fine. So come back to the file input over here and let's paste it there, like so. So move. All right. Then on the input, on change, we say display image, and then we send in the event. Okay. And then since I want this to be clickable for both, I will put a label here, change that to a label, and then on the input I'll put a style and say display none. Okay, something weird going on here though. I think it's because of the label. Let me change the style here and just say display block. Maybe that would change things. Yeah, it does. Okay, so if I now click on this, it opens that. Let's change the cursor as well. So we're gonna say cursor pointer. That way a user can know that they can click on the image. So click on the image, let's add one, and there it is. Okay, great. Now I want a similar thing for the audio, so that when you click browse, grab the audio, it should load on the image here, or on the player, so you can play the audio before you actually upload it. So let me try copying this. Let's go to where the audio file is, which is right here. Let me remove that. Input type file, name is file. That's what it will be. And let's put an on-change listener. And let's say it's supposed to be display image, but we're gonna say load file. I think that's better. Okay, so this input is here as a standalone. Let me put this inside a label, right? And I'll put my script down here. Let me move things over. Now I want to put this inside a label so that the code can still work. Let me push this in. Because we're using parent node and then wait, where's the file element? What have I done? What have I done? Anyway, let me copy this whole thing, label here, copy, then undo. I want to see where I deleted. At what point did I delete the file input? Ah, there we go. So I made a mistake there. Okay, so while it's still alive, let me paste this that I had copied. And then I can move this input over there. That way once it grabs that, then it can run the this should not be the display. This should be load file function. So this will call this function. Yep. Let me move this above. All right, so load file. Now we have to change the type of, here we are getting audio MP3. I think it's audio/mpeg. I'm not sure, but it's okay. We can find out what the type of the file is that we want without a problem. And then here, instead of image, I'll say audio. That's what we're removing. File type not valid. File types of this type allowed. And instead of image in here, we want the input. And the input, actually, we want to load that here on the audio tag. All right. So the tag ends there. Let me move this over. So the audio tag here, let's give it an ID or a class name. We're just going to say JS audio. And that's what we're going to look for here. So we're going to say JS-audio. Don't forget the dot since it's a class. And then instead of all this, we're going to just use document here to scan the entire document. .query selector, and that's it. Okay. Let's see here. Let me add one. Let me add an audio file now. I'm looking for audio file. Yeah, let me try this one. Okay, so it works. Let me reduce that volume. Okay, let me try and see if I can load a different file altogether. Where are the MP3 files? That one is a WAV file. So what if I try to load a WAV file? It's going to say file not valid, file types MPEG, which doesn't even make sense there. So what I'm going to do here is, instead of putting all this, I'll just list the files that are allowed. So MP3, like that. Okay. All right, I think this does it. Then we have a title and a description. Where are those things? Title there, name, let's change that to title. And here, let's change that to description. Small letter D. Okay. Now in the database, we need a place to store this information. Also, we need a scroll bar here, a progress bar, because I want us to use Ajax to upload this. Now the reason is that we're uploading an audio file, and also at the same time we're uploading an image. So this can take a while to upload. So what I'm going to do is just make a class, call this one JS_prog for progress. Inside here, I'll put a div and call this one JS_prog_bar. Okay. Now I need classes for, I'll just say prog bar. So I just need classes to be able to style this thing. So then I'll put 0% there. And yeah, I think that should work. If I now refresh, you just see 0% there. So I want us to see, let me add some styles. So we're going to say .prog. So this one has a width of 100, of course. It's got a background color, very light gray, maybe D. And then we'll have prog bar, which is the bar inside it. Let's try with 50% so I can see it. Background color, let's try blue. Okay. What else can I do? Here, let's try, okay, let's add some padding, 2 pixels. Okay, let's see how that looks. Okay, so there we go. We need color white. Right, so this will be our progress bar. Let me change font size here to 11 pixels. Let's see how that changes things. Okay, much smaller. That's what I wanted. Padding should be 1 pixel at least to reduce it even further. All right, so there we go. But let's put text align center as well. That way the text is in the center of the progress, like that. Okay. Now we need to hide this guy. Let's see here. I'm going to put the hide class so we don't see the progress bar until it's needed. So the hide class isn't anything that we know. So what I'm going to do is just create it. Just display none, that's all. Okay, very good. Now at this point we need to create a table and a model for that table so that the process can go smooth. But before that, let's add some error issues. So I'm going to go to the sign up view to copy some stuff. So I'm going to grab this part, for example. Copy. So I'm going to look for places I know are going to need error reporting. So like the image, for example. Let's go title as well. Description. So let's go to the audio file. This I can just put here. It's file. Okay. So the error is asking for this here. So I just need to move this up, add this to data, like that. Okay, and that should solve that error problem. Okay, there we go. Okay, so we have everything we need here. Now let's create a table and then add content to it. So let's look at the columns we need. We need an image, we need a file, we need a title, we need a description, and we need to know which user exactly created this one here. So I'm going to go to new. Here, this is podcast DB. Click on new table. We're going to call it podcasts. There's an ID that's required, auto increment, primary key. Here, let's put a user ID because that's the ID of the user that actually uploaded the podcast. So let's put a title there, and then let's put, what else, description. Let me add a few more columns. So I'm just going to add a random number of columns here. So description, title, the date when it was created, and then number of views, for example, number, and then the popularity. And then maybe, I don't know, if you have downloads, you can add download counter there. That's fine. I think that will do it. So these are integers here. That's fine. The default value, as always, should be 0. Here, the default value, let's add null on the date. Description is varchar. Let's try 2048 characters. The title here, we can limit it to 100. The rest are fine. So let me save. Okay, so podcasts, good. We need to know who the user ID is of a particular podcast, so let's add an index there. If you need to search by title, add an index there as well. We may need to order by views, add an index, even by popularity as well. Okay, cool. So we have that. Now we need to create a model to handle that table. So let's go to models and find, let's go here. So we're just going to get the user PHP there, new model, paste. Then all we need to do is change what table it's referencing. Podcasts is the table, and this one is podcast.php. Instead of user here, we change that to podcast. We don't have a unique, the unique column in there is, I don't know, ID, which is the primary key. So maybe a slug. So let's add a slug instead. So the columns here are title, description, what else? It's always a good idea to just go to the browse key here and then look at these, copy them, and then we can put them here for reference. So user ID, date is there, description, title, let's go views, popularity, what else? The slug. Let me remove that. Okay, save. Remove this as well. Then also add another column here, slug. So I'm gonna add one more and say this one is the slug. Let's put slightly above the title, or let's just put 100, it's fine. Save that. Also put an index on that. Okay. Now let's look at the rules. So we have title. The title, I just want alpha. So this one is more like username. So I'm gonna remove that and just title required and alpha, and then there's description. Maybe not required really. I think we can leave description out of this. What else do I need? We need the audio and the file. Now those I'm not going to deal with here because they are not in the post variable anyway, so I'll deal with them separately. We don't need a sign up and a login function in here, so let me remove those. Okay, so as simple as that, we have the podcast model. Now things can go ahead. So what I'm forgetting here are two columns. There's the image and the file column. Okay, great. So let's see here as well in the database. Let's add two more. The image file and the audio file. So I could just say audio file there, but this is fine as well. Let's just put 2048, 2048. This will just be the path to these files. I'll put no on both there. Okay, I think this does it now. So on here, when somebody is here and they want to upload, we're going to create a new controller here. This one will handle all Ajax requests, because if we want to see progress while we're uploading, it has to be an Ajax request. So I'm going to put this as Ajax like that. Ajax does not need a view file because anything you echo here becomes the result. So this is ajax.php. All right, so that's great. Now with this one here, let's do, what can I do here? Let me remove that. So let me just mute this. So I'm going to instantiate to session is equal to new core session, and then request is equal to new core requests. Oosh. Okay, so that we know if something was posted. So we're going to say if request posted, then something was posted. Now we have to grab everything that was posted. I'm going to call that post data is equal to request post. So anything in the post request is put in there. Now what I'm looking for is the data type. So I'm going to say if. Now the reason we're going to create a column or a field named data type, that way we know what to do with whatever data we send to this file, because we're going to send all kinds of requests. So it's good to know what to do with a specific request. So here, if the post data type is equal to new podcast, that means we are adding a new podcast. Okay, so at this point down here, I just want to echo the final result. So whatever I echo in here becomes the result of the Ajax request. So I'm going to echo JSON encode. That's how you encode for sending, and I'm going to create an array named info. So right here, I'll just say info is equal to empty array. Now, if something was posted here, let's see, post data, post request. Okay, I can move this over here. So I add it to the if request here, if statement. So So I just want to know if the data type actually exists. So I'm going to say if not empty, like that. Okay, so if something was posted and in the post there is data type, which is good, then we can bring it here. Then I can add to info and say info data type is equal to the data type, because I want also when I receive the data on the Ajax side, on the front end side, I should know that this is a response to a specific data type again. Okay, then finally we'll echo out a JSON version of this array down here. Okay, so when we add a new podcast, so there are a few things we need to do here. Now, this is going to be very similar to the sign up situation. And actually the sign up, it's inside the user model, the sign up function. So most of this is the same. So I'm just going to copy a lot of this. Actually, no. This would be very similar to the profile.php. When we edit in the settings here, also you have to be logged in to access the upload part. So which means even here, I have to, now I can't redirect because this is going to be an Ajax request. So all I can do is just exit the function or die if I'm not logged in. So there we go. What else we do? If empty, blah, blah, blah. We are not there yet. So let's grab this. This part we already have. Okay, so I'll start from here, validate image, loop through the images, and then up to there. Okay, so I'm gonna copy this, come down here. There we go. All right. So we want to validate the image. First here we are creating the folder. So we have image added, but I'm going to add a second one called file added because we're expecting 2 files. So there may be an image and there may be a file. So here what I would do is I'm going to say as key file. Because the key actually matters here. The key is going to contain either image or file, because that's how we can know which one is the image, which is the file. So when we are looping through here, I will ask the question if key is equal to image, then we will do what's here. Let me duplicate that and push in and remove this top part. And then else, let's put another if statement. If it's equal to file, then we're uploading a file. So I'm going to grab this, paste it here. What we want here is audio, MPEG as the type. So I'm going to remove all of this. Okay. Everything else remains the same. We don't need to resize this because this is an audio file. Then here, we'll say audio file type not supported. Let me put file here because that's the key value we're expecting. Type, this is not image added, this one will be file added, and then there'll be a destination. Now, since there are two destinations, let me do this. I'll change one to image and the other to file. That way I know which destination is which. Image there. Okay. All right. So here, image added, file added, destination file, blah, blah, blah. So we shouldn't put, or actually the key can only be one key at a time. So this is fine, the else if statement. Okay, very good. So once we are done with this part where we upload both the audio and the image, or the image, then we validate. Now this is not going to be user, this is going to be podcast. So let me change all references to that here. Okay. So this part will be podcast. That's what we're going to call the, what's this? The model name. So wherever we are instantiating the user model here, I want to also instantiate the podcast model. So it's going to be podcast like that. Okay, great. We did create it here, so it's already there. Now let's look at this part where we validate and we say move image file if it exists. So here we will move the image file, but we have to change this to destination image. Okay, if image was added, delete the old image. Now this deleting of the old image will only work if we're editing. So since we are adding here, let's mute that. Okay. Check if password is empty. We don't need this part at all. All right, so all I'm going to do is duplicate this part for the file. Okay, then change that reference as well to file. Okay. Now this one says update, so we want to insert instead. We don't need the first param here, we just insert. Alrighty then, I think this does do it. Now before we do all of this, here I want to add a value named success and put it at false. That way I know when we are successful and when we are not. So I'm going to copy this. If we reach a point where we are inserting here, it means we have succeeded. So I'm going to put that at true. Let me look at the error messages. Audio file not supported. Okay, image file type not supported. Okay, that's okay. Okay, I think we're in business here. Cool. So let's try to upload. Now we have to add the JavaScript to enable this on the front end here, which is in the view file. That way something will show us progress and stuff like that. Now you can put this script anywhere. Let me try it down here. That way I don't interfere with my other code. So we're gonna have a function we're gonna call send data. And then we will always send an object, type of object there. So we're going to create an XHR object. So here I'm going to say var is equal to XHR is equal to new XML HTTP request. That's the XHR object. Now TTP should be small letters like that. Okay. And then we do XHR dot open and dot send. We're going to send a form. I'm going to call it my form like that. And here I'm going to create it. I'll say let my form is equal to new form data. Not the capitalization. That's how we create a form, and we are sending that form here. But here we're telling it that we're using a post request, and then we ought to tell it where we're actually sending this. So let's put a root path there, because everything must go through root, and then put Ajax like so. Then let's put true to make sure it works in the background. And then one final thing is we need an event listener. So I'm going to move one of these here. Now we need to listen before we even send. We need to add the event listener. So I'm going to say add event listener. So what are we listening for? What event? It's the ready state change. Once it changes, we run a function. Okay. So what I'm looking for is when the xhr.ready state, when it's equal to 4. All right. So the XML object here has a ready state, and that state starts from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. When it's at 4, it means everything is done. It has stopped trying. So if nothing happens by this time, it means either there's no internet or something else happened. So by 4, it means we're expecting to get a result by then. But if we did find the actual document, there'll be a status in there. The status is 200 when the file was found and there were no errors. But if it's not 200, it's something else, maybe 500 or whatever. Here we can say alert. We can say an error. Or we just say could not send data. Please check your connection. This could be caused by no internet or stuff. If we do get a result here, it will be 200. Then we can run another function that can handle these results. So say handle result, and the result is always in the xhr.response text. For now, the function handle result, we'll expect to get a result from there. For now, I just want to have a console.log of the result. That's all. Just log to the console. That way I can see what I'm doing. Now, originally we are getting the data from an object. So what I want to do is loop through an object and add that information to a form instead, because we are sending the form. Right now the form is empty that we are sending. So I'm going to do for key in obj. That's how you loop. And then in there we're going to say my form dot append. So that's append is a function of a form where you can add a key value pair. So the key is named key, which is good, and then the value is object, and then we use that key to access the object, the item. like that. Okay, great. Then we also need to listen for the progress. So I'm going to duplicate that, close it with those brackets like so. So we add event listener. This one goes on the progress. Now the XHR object itself, you can add a listener to progress, but you won't see any progress. Better to add to the upload object of the XHR. So that's what we're going to do. Now in here, I will need the event. So I'll need to know what percentage we are on. So percent is going to be equal to, there's e.loaded and then e.total, like that. Then let's multiply that by 100. So e.loaded is the amount of data that was sent, and total is the total amount of the file we are uploading, or the form itself. So loaded, blah, 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 blah. Now the thing is, the result of this could be in decimals. So we can use math.round to round it off, because the decimal points can be as many as 10. It doesn't look good. So now that we have a percentage, we can now grab the progress bar over here, and then let's see, prog bar and prog. We can grab those guys and make them move accordingly. So let me grab the progress bar here. Actually, progress bar is equal to document.querySelector, and that is JS prog bar. But then at the same time, I want the prog bar dot style dot width to be equal to 0%. Right? The same thing should apply to the contents of the progress bar. So the content is going to be inner HTML, which is going to be equal to that. Then now I want us to unhide the parent of this. So I'm going to say document.querySelector. This one is .js prog, which is the parent. And then we're going to say .class list dot remove the hide class. Okay, so we unhide it after all of that. What else? Progress bar. Great. Then in here, we just need to update these guys. So I'm going to put that there, like so. So here we'll add the percent, whatever that is, plus, let me remove that 0. Okay, that should do the trick. Now, without even checking to see the result and stuff, I just want to see how we can send some data here. Now, what I'll do is, on the Save button, this is a form, quite right? But when we submit, on submit, I want it to use the send data function, not directly. I think we're going to create another function called upload. What do we call it? New podcast, right? Like so. Let's put the event there so we can intercept it. So I'm going to grab this podcast thingy, create a function. Now the reason I'm not using this function is because this is a multi-purpose function. Whatever we want to send, we'll use that. But determining what we are sending, we're going to use other functions, like this one I'm making now. So in here, I'll create an object, say let obj is equal to an empty object, and then add stuff to the object. And let's say object dot data type, for example. So the data type this time is going to be new podcast. Wait, what's in the Ajax? What are we expecting? Yep, new podcast. Okay, great. And then let's add some more data. So we're collecting the data from the form itself. So, but before we even do any of that, I just want to see that things are working. In fact, I don't even want this to go through with saving. So I'll put it 2 there just to throw it off. Then I'm going to say obj dot, no. I'm going to say send data obj. So all I want to see is just the progress bar and stuff. And then at the end here, I want the progress bar to actually disappear. So I'm going to copy that, come down here, and we're going to add back that class. So refresh. And let's try and add, let me add an image here. Doesn't matter the image I add. Let me add a file. I'm going to browse the desktop here for a file that is valid MP3. Okay, now let's hit the save button. Oh, the problem is, okay, we will still see. Oops, that's how fast it was. That's incredible. Anyway, what I'm going to do is in the Ajax here, I'm going to tell it to sleep for a bit. I'm going to say sleep for a second. Just so we can see a bit more. So I'm going to save again. Okay. I see an error happening here, but it's too quick to see anything. Let me go to the console. Nothing in there. So where is the alert? Could not send data. Please check your connection. Ready state change for your status is equal to that. What I don't understand is why the thing is disappearing, right? Ah, okay. It's refreshing the page, so sorry about that. Here I have to intercept that. I have to tell it not to refresh the page. So I'm going to say e.prevent default. Like that. Okay, that event will stop the default action of refreshing. So let me try again. Let me add a file here and even an image to go with it. All right, so let's click save, and there it went. It reached 100%. Very good. So things are working. If I go into the console, these are errors I get. So undefined variable session. So it doesn't know session. It also doesn't know login because it doesn't know session. Okay, so let's go to the Ajax. Let's see why it doesn't know session. Oh, that's because session is made here after we've already tried to use it. So let me move over here. Let's remove our sleep. This should do just fine. So I'm going to try again and see if we don't get any errors. So I'm going to click send. Okay, so success is false, data type new podcast 2. That's true because we didn't go through, we don't know what new podcast 2 is. So nothing was uploaded really. But if, where is this? If we write the correct number here, the correct thing here, things will work out. So what I want is title as well. So let's put title and description here as well. So here, title, description. This we're gonna get from the form here. So let's see, how do we grab these items? We need to label them so we can grab them. So an image here. So this is the image input. So it has a class there. Okay, I'm gonna use class names. So say JS image. That's what I'll call this one. And that's the image input. The title input is here. I'll just say JS title. Just make the names unique. JS description, as in they should be different from each other. There's an audio file here as well. Let's put a class name. JS. I'm gonna call this one file. What else? Okay, the audio source, this is just pointing to the source. Okay, so that's great. Now this one will be equal to, let me grab it here. Now e.currentTarget is the form. So I'm going to say e.currentTarget, which is the form. Whatever item created the event is the current target. Then we can run a query selector in there to select .js title, for example. So I'll do the same thing for this part, only that this is for the description. And we can do this for everything. Now here I have to ask myself if an image was added or not. So here I'll say let image added is equal to false. Let's do the file added as well is equal to false. Then we can just go here. This is important because if we add a file, even if it's rejected here and say file not valid, it's still already added to the input. The user has already added it. So if we try to save, even the invalid file will be added. So at this point is where we're supposed to tell it that file added is equal to true. Only when we get here, because we know then we passed the test. And then here, if it says it's not valid, then file added will be false. Let me move that up like so. Okay, great. Now let me do exactly the same thing on here. Instead, we're gonna call image added. Same thing here. Image added is here, it's going to be true. Okay, that's how we know when we've added an image or not. Then we can just ask the question here, if image added, then we do obj.image is equal to, let's grab that item there. Now this one is image, but once we grab the item, actually this is also wrong here. Once we grab the item, we need its value. So I'm going to say value.trim. So we trim the trailing empty spaces on the sides. Then here JSImage.files0. So we grab the first file added in that files array of this element, and here I'm going to duplicate that and we put this on file like this. So same thing, file added, image added. This one changes to .file like so. Okay, I think that does it. So let's give it a shot. Let's see what happens now. And so I'm going to refresh my page. I will close the console here for a second, refresh the page. Let's add an image, shall we? So I'm going to add this worker here. And oh, we need validation, by the way. I forgot about all of that. So the title and description must be added, including the image and the audio. So all these things must be added before we try to send the data. So I'll go here. Let's see here. So before we send, I'm gonna say if obj.title is equal to empty, I'm going to have to alert and say, please enter a valid title. Then I want to grab the very item and then return. So here I want to grab the title thingy and then focus on it. So focus, that way the user can know where to type next. And let's do the same thing for that, same thing for all the other things. So title, description is optional, so I'm gonna leave that out. And then there's image over here. So if now image may not be equal to empty, but it may not exist if we don't have an image added, so this won't exist. So to check if it doesn't exist, we'll say if type of is undefined, right? If it's of type undefined, then it doesn't exist. So please add a valid image. Here I'm gonna say a valid image. And then I can't focus on that, so I'm just gonna return. So this is better to duplicate this because it matches what I want, and remove this guy over here. So let's just change image for file. Okay, let's try this out, shall we? So refresh. Now let me try and save. It says please enter a valid title. Okay, and then it highlights there. Okay, my first podcast. Great. Let's try again. Please add a valid image. Okay, boss. I'm gonna add a valid image. Save. Please add a valid audio file. Okay, great. Let's add a valid audio file. Let's come here. There we go. Where are we? There we go. So let me just make sure it plays. Okay. Now let's try and save. Let's see what happens. Actually, I didn't put an end of action, end of thing action. So anyway, let's save. And just like that, it should be done, right? If I go to the console, I do have some errors here. So it says warning, my content type, upload, young man, construction, blah, 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 blah. That's a long file name. Failed to open stream, no such file or directory. This is strange. Uploads, blah, 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 no such file. So the file was not uploaded. Yeah, wait. Line 18. No. This one is happening in the Ajax file, not this one. This is for the, oh, so the resize is the one complaining that it can't find the file. But what line is this happening in? I think I have an idea. So let's go back to the Ajax part. Yes. So image added, move uploaded file. Oh, I see. This is my bad. This is wrong. I can't do this because once I grab that, it's equal to a specific. Okay, so this is poor coding here. That's because file is set here in the loop. This was okay when we were uploading just one file because I knew it was going to loop only once. So file will remain with the value of the file that was there. But since we're uploading two images here, or two files, file will only be set to the last one that was looped through, which doesn't really compute here. Because once we move the temp file, it no longer exists to be moved again here for this part. So I need a cleverer way of doing things. So here I'm going to say file, let's say file image. That's what I'm going to call this one. And this one I'm going to call it file, which is weird, but it's going to work. So here I'm going to put that, say file is equal to the current file, like that. That way it doesn't matter if the loop is done, it will keep the value that I want. This one is file image. Okay, let's test that. Just need to delete that and then do a second test. So, but let's go to our database. I have a feeling it actually saved, or it didn't. Okay, great. So back here, let's hit save again. Okay, again, we have a problem. So no such file exists. Okay, let's check it out. Let's see the public folder and look for uploads. And as we can see, those files are not saved in there. Okay, so let's figure it out. What's going on here? What is going on? Okay, what I'm gonna do is just echo out what's inside files, because it seems that's where the problem is. So here I'm just gonna data type, blah blah blah. So just do show files. Let's see what's in there. We'll see it here in the error segment, because whatever we echo that side, we can see here in the console. So there it is. So there's an image array and a file array. So everything looks fine. We have a temp name there, great. We have a full path, the audio MPEG type, size, error is 0, which means it does upload quite well. So where is the problem then? So up to that point, things are good. We have a folder that's created. File added, image added, that's great. Now let's come here. So we loop through here. If key is equal to image, let me just echo image here. I want to see where it passes and doesn't. So in the image, it should pass, and in the file here, it should pass. So let's see if we get that. Let's hit the save. So we do get the image version, but we don't get the file version. So why is that? We do send the file here. obj.file, let's see. Maybe I'm missing something. Query selector, JS file, file 0. Let's come back here. There's JFile, load file. Yep, I think this works just fine. The name is file. Okay, the name doesn't really matter because what we type here becomes the actual name when sending it. Okay. So I think maybe key is equal to image. Let me remove this else statement so that both can run at the same time. Let them be free to run. Maybe that's my mistake. Let's click there again. Nope, it doesn't work at all. I think else was the right, since there's only one key at a time. So why is there a problem? Okay, I'm gonna echo out key at this point. I'm gonna say print R the current key. Okay. I want to see every time it loops. Still, there's only one, and then immediately, I think the reason is that after this, it immediately crashes or something. No, it doesn't actually. Oh, there's a fire here, so it does work. Huh. What is going on? What is going on? Okay, this is confusing me now. What's that file there? Huh. The problem with this is not showing me the actual error because it just said could not find file, but I want to know where it's coming from, where the request to resize that file is coming from. But we know it's the resize part here. Okay. Destination image, why is this false? Folder, time, file, name, okay. File image is equal to file, okay. This looks okay. All of this looks fine. Okay, what I'm gonna do is mute the resize for now, so I see what other errors I will get. So success is false, which means it actually didn't go through here. I see what the problem here is. Okay, I understand what's going on now. You see, here we're just setting the destination to the image. We're not actually moving it. So we can't then resize that imaginary destination yet. We should only resize after we move the file. So this made sense when the move uploaded file part was here. But like this, it doesn't make sense. So let me cut this and paste it here when we move the file, like so. Okay. So this also should change in the profile page. I think I have it set up just like this here as well, which is wrong. So out, this should be in here, like so. Okay, great. That solves the problem. So now the real problem, the real issue is that we are having an error in the podcasts, but we can't see that error. So what I need to do is have one more thing here called errors, and then I can set that to podcast errors, so that whatever errors come up, we will see them here. Actually, this should move from there, because this only happens in the success. We don't expect errors on the success. We don't even need a redirect, because we can't redirect we can redirect an Ajax request, but not in this case. So here, once we do the validation, at this point, we can check for errors, and if any, we add them. Okay, great. So let me close that and save. All right, so finally, there's an error. It says title should only have alphabetical letters without spaces. Okay, that's wrong. So let's go to the, it should be alpha space. Okay, so that solves the problem. But where is the file coming from? That's weird. Anyway, delete that. Let's click. Okay, so success is true this time, which is good. But what about file? What's with that? Now I should see everything good here. So we didn't put user ID, we didn't put a date, no description, popularity, slug not there. So a few things to do, but here the image and the file are there, which is great. If I go to the uploads, I can actually see the files in here if I open the folder, and there they are, this one and this one. But let's delete them for now and fix a few things. And I'm going to truncate this table. So truncate, okay. Get back to browse, it's now empty. Okay, good. Now I need to redo this whole thing, but better. So we should have date. Date is there. So let's come back here. So I just need to add a bit extra stuff. So if I go back to the profile thingy here, and before I get there, I want to see a part where I add extra stuff. I think that's in the signup where we were doing this. Signup.php, which takes us to the user.php signup function, which is this one here. So I want these guys. Copy. I also actually want all of this here because of the slug. Then go back to Ajax. And right before I insert stuff here, I will want to add some extra info. So right about here. So first of all, the date, not the row, but the, what else we need? So here there's date, there's a slug, and description, and user ID. So user ID as well, user underscore ID. This one will be taken from the session, user function, and then ID. And then generate slug from the title of the podcast. Then we check for the uniqueness of this data slug. This one is title again. Actually, why am I? This should be slug here. So we should just keep adding things. So back again to the profile side here, where we can change things. This is not where it's in the user part. This one should be data slug. So I just want to concatenate. Actually, I can just do this. Put a dot equals, which means add to this. So that's what we'll do here as well. Instead of repeating ourselves, we just say dot equal. So we add numbers to the slug repeatedly if we keep finding a match. So ID, date, slug, good to go. What else? Description, date, views, title. I think that does it. So let me try and save one more time. But where is file coming from? What am I echoing in here? Am I doing a print read? Where is that? Oh, right there. Boom. Okay, I think this is a victory. So let's save. Okay, undefined array key title. On line 108. 108. Where are we? Why doesn't it have title? Okay. Oh, this one is called post data. Sorry about that. Let's come back here. What are we actually giving it? Post data, not just data, but post data. So let's select every instance of data and put post data instead. Okay, so this means we actually saved another wrong. Oh, it didn't save. Great. So let's delete that. Let's try again. Call to undefined method first in Ajax 112. So let's see, 112 here. First, why isn't this work? Oh, this was in the user which is a model. This is not a model, this is a controller. So I'm going to have to use podcast here since that's a model. But I think it's still saved. No, did not? No. Oh, because that was a fatal error, so it couldn't continue. So let's save. Great, success true, no errors, which means it did save this time. Wait, what? Why is the date like this? Let's go back to the structure. Date is an int? What? Okay, let me change that. This is supposed to be date time. Where is this? Date time. Let's remove that length and save. So back to browse. Yeah, that's a better date. So everything else looks fine. Let's go back and remove all the data one more time. Truncate. Okay. Back to browse. And let me delete the files one more time. Open folder. So all these files. Delete. Let's do it one more time. Save. Okay, that's great now. Good, good. Proper date, proper slug. Wait, the slug. The slug is weird. Let's go back here. It's supposed to add dashes where there are spaces. So what is going on? Let me see. String to lower, replace that, then replace this with that, right? Replace all spaces with a dash. So why? I think this one here is the one that's anything that isn't a letter or a digit or a space. Okay. My bad. Let's do one more test. I promise the last one here. So let's go. Truncate. And of course I want to delete the uploads. Let's come back. That. And then save. Okay. Back to browse. Slack. Okay, I'm gonna keep, let me mute this. Let me do it again so that I see when it becomes great. Let's go back. Aha, my first podcast. So this is the part that was not doing its job. Why? Anyway, I need to brush up on my regular expressions. Let me do this. Fire new. I want to see my first class. Hello there. So I want to see if it can find anything that isn't a letter. So let's do this. I'm gonna do when finding here. This is just a test. You don't have to follow along with this. Let me do that and that. Okay. So it finds all the special characters, which is good. Anything that isn't a letter. Oh, okay. It actually works well just with that. But I want digits as well to be part of this. So let's see. So just that is enough. Okay, great. Nope. So let me close this. I don't need these guys here. Okay. Cool. So let me try it one more time to see if it will come out like this. Then I can call it a day. So back, click. Nope, that didn't work at all. Okay, let me put an or and copy this here. Let me put this in brackets like that, or D. Wait, hold space. Let's try again. That's even worse. Okay, I'll remove this for now. This is not working at all. So I'll remove that regular expression there and leave it be. I just didn't want any symbols in here, which was actually working just fine there. Anything that isn't a word. Oh, I see. I should have put that here. Ah, okay. Makes sense now. Okay. Okay. I think that does it. So back, save. Let's see here. Okay, it's working now. Now let's truncate our table. We are over and done with, and save. Come back to the folder and delete all this extra stuff. Yep. And now on the upload view file, once we are done here, instead of console.log there, we will just refresh the page, or instead we redirect the user to their profile. So here I'm going to say window dot location dot href is equal to, so we put an href there, but of course we'll need the root from PHP, and then slash profile, like that. Okay, that should do it. So let me close this. Actually, let me do this. Let me create, I'm gonna say let obj is equal to json.parse obj. This is how you turn that JSON data we brought into an array. And then we're going to say if obj.success, that way we can check if success is true, then we redirect. Otherwise, we're going to do an else statement and do a console.log. Actually, the console.log won't work here. If there was an error, it's gonna stop right there because it won't convert to JSON. So what we would do is put a console.log here that we can switch off when we don't want, like right now. So if there was no success, we can have an alert instead and say could not save data. Can say due to an error, like that. Okay, so let me refresh this. Let's start again. So I'm going to click, let's add an image, and then the title, my first podcast, some kind of description, and then let's add an audio file. And then let's hit save. Okay, so it didn't refresh, so maybe something happened. Can't access before initialization. What did I do wrong? Ah, right. Oh no, result. Anyway, let me go to my... Okay, so it did save, so that's fine. Let me just refresh that. Let's add another one. So first of all, let me just add the same audio file. Let me add another image. This one is there. And we say my second podcast. Some kind of description. Okay, so save. And there we go. Look at that. So profile, the user was not found. Why does it say that? It's crazy. Maybe because I should log out and log in. Let's see. Because I was creating another project, so maybe that's why. Let me put this profile. Ah, that's why. Okay. So let's try again and upload a third one. So new podcast, click there. There we go. My third podcast. Description here. Browse for a audio file. And let's hit save. And there we go. It brings us here. Now here it should bring us to podcasts. So we see the newest podcast here. So we're going to say profile/podcasts like that. So let's try that again one last time. So new podcast, click. Let's start with the audio file as always. Let's add an image. They don't have to be people. Let's see here. Maybe podcast here. Let's add that image. And the title can say my fifth podcast. And let's hit save. Okay, so it brings you to your podcast. So here we are supposed to view the latest podcast, which is very easy to do, right? Let's list them very quickly here. If I go to the table, you see that I have at least 4 podcasts by the same user. So let's see how well that displays here. Yeah, so let me go to my profile view page here. Profile view. Let's see the part where we display podcasts. So user details, all of this, that's not what we want. We want recent podcasts. So right on this one, we have this div that shows an image. So up to here. So which means from here to there, that's the podcast. So why is it so weird here? Let me remove that break tag. This div ends there. Let's see, this one ends here, this one ends there, correct, this one ends there. So this one is a little bit off, just like this one, and then that one. Okay. So this down here is a second podcast. Let's delete. This one is another podcast. Let's delete. Finally, this is pagination. We can leave that be. Let me even move this. Let's see. Boom, boom. Let me move that over there, like so. Let me move these over here. All right, so pagination here. And here is the list of recent. So all I need to do here is just say if not empty. We're gonna call them recent. Okay. Yep. And duplicate that. We do a loop for each, and we see recent as row, like that. And then we'll close those loops. So PHP end for each, duplicate. This one is end if. And let me move this. Let me actually move all of this over in, and this as well in. And then now I can put titles on this thing. So I can do this, escape, row, title, like that. Okay, grab that. We don't have a place for description at all, but the source over here is inside file. And I don't actually need the escape here. So also I will need root here. So it's gonna be root dot, and then I will need a slash, and then dot, and then the file. Okay. Then for the image, I'll use our function called getImage, like that, and put row image. This should do it. This is the username here, but I'm gonna put the user ID over there. Actually, no, we're gonna use username here, but for now, let's just put ID. Just so we can see things are going on. So there's nothing now. So if there's nothing on the if statement here, we have to put a disclaimer. Wait, this should come after. And let me duplicate and put an else statement here. All right, so else we're gonna say no recent podcasts found. Style, padding 10 pixels, text align, center. All right, let's see the color black. No recent podcasts found, which is not true. We just need to go to the profile controller here when we are on our podcasts version. Where is this? The function. This one. We just need to read. So there's a row here, but we say if there is a row that was found, then we can try to read podcasts from that row. So I'm gonna put another one here and call it recent. This one will be equal to podcast controller, not the controller, the model, podcast model, where, and then here I will put where the user ID is equal to the data row user ID. No, just the ID there. That's the user row, the ID of the user. So we're looking for all podcasts that have the user, the current user as user ID, like that. So we need to instantiate podcast. So I'm gonna grab this and duplicate it there, put that there. And this one is podcast. Simple and straightforward. Let's refresh, and there we go. So there we go. We have our recent podcasts here, and these can actually play now, as you can see. Great, though we were uploading the same song, but you can see the songs are here and they're playable. Very cool. Now what we need is to be able to click on a podcast and go to view a whole full podcast page which we need to create as well, right? Cool. So right on the profile view here, we have this image or this whole div over here. We can change it to an A tag. Maybe not, because then we won't be able to play this part. So maybe we can just change like this thing here to an A tag, and the title itself to an A tag. Then we can put an href. That way when you click, it can go to the real full page and say podcast slash, and then I will put the slug in there. So we're not using IDs because a slug is more Google search friendly. So that's why we will be using slugs for links, because the titles of the podcasts are in the URL as well. So if I click page not found, because we need to create it, but otherwise we are almost there. If I click there, it still works. Look at that. Very, very good. So we need a main page for each podcast when playing. The same thing, we need a list of podcasts here on recent and popular. So let's see podcasters. Let me see this one. And we see podcasts, no recent podcasts. Great. If we go to the other user though, podcasters, which is this one, and we can see podcasts there, and there is a list. Also, we need to know how many podcasts this user has. So in the table of users, we can go to the structure, and here I will add one more column, podcasts. That's what it's going to be called, an int, and save. That will just be showing how many podcasts each user has. Will be updated whenever a user uploads a podcast. Okay, so let's finish up with single podcast page and of course pagination.